Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you can't be too careful with what's in the background. But okay, so you said that you saw the Vice documentary, and
Yes.
you said that that you said that Unicole Unicron, that she appears to be, you know, involved in what she's doing, or how do you put it?
That this is a kind of experiment of hers, that she's
Yeah.
testing it out as she goes. So this is not pre-planned entirely. I sense that she's genuine in this sense, that she's exploring it. It is not that she sat down one day and planned to make a cult, but she's trying what works and she goes with it. So in that sense, I think that she's exploring, she's creative, and this is just a creative outlet of hers. Then, of course, when it comes to cults and so on, they transform as time goes, and they gain more popularity, and structures of power organizes within the cult and so forth. But to begin with, what I see is that she explores this as a creative project and is having fun. That's my impression of this. Then I was not aware she had a book and she has rituals and so on. I was not aware of that. I only saw the Cam Church thing and a few videos she had made posted on YouTube.
Well, her rituals generally seem to be preformed. Of course, her Cam Church, of course, she has a welcome to Cam Church, ring her bell, a song, and a sermon, call-in prayers or type-in prayers, or if she had a call-in session. So there's some sort of format to that, but most of what I've seen from her ritual-wise seems to be more or less preformed. I guess nowadays they're like, you know, selling beads, which she marks everything up, and sometimes she's not, like, you know, any more expensive than anybody else, but she marks things up in a symbolic matter. Like,
yes.
I'm not going to charge $84 for this. I'm going to charge $111, or I'm going to charge $11 for a lock of my hair, or, you know, something like that. But it's like the things I post. You know, I was just doing my own thing. You know, I summarized this book. The other one, I kind of medleyed some of her songs, because she has music videos and that sort of thing. But it does seem that as she went along, that she yeah, it's not, and on top of that, if she does change her mind about something, I don't think she's been like, because you know how some of those people are on YouTube, they are in real life, they feel like they have to blaspheme everything they turn away from. It's like,
yes.
Okay, you don't believe in it anymore. That doesn't mean you have to go out in the woods and piss on your Book of Mormon and your Bible. And
Whatever new thing they found, they define it by opposing everything else that is not that very new thing that they have found. So they have a greater passion in hating everything around than they have love of the very thing that they have found. This is what I have seen. Of course, this may not be to the highest degree in every case, but there is a mix between the love and hate.
And I was personally surprised to see the variety of things talked about, like in this book. I don't see any, very few of what you'd call new religious movements get into quite the variety of that she does. People with more videos on their channel kind of don't. And yes, she was kind of going as she went along, because as it says, she went, you know, she's had some some very serious behavior problems herself, as anybody knows. I didn't know that about her, my soulmate left me, what she admitted on that video, or what she said on the one interview with Doc Savage or Omni Eris, or maybe it was both of them or something like that. I didn't know about the Charles Manson related comments and stuff, or the domestic violence issue. But other than that, as long as people don't fall under that. But she did try to kill herself, and basically the book makes the point. I know this isn't politically correct, but I'm going to say it. Makes the point that she basically went retarded because she poisoned herself, and it was like she was retarded for a couple months. And she decided, okay, spirituality is how to fix me, and she combined that with drug experimentation. She's pretty consistent about marijuana. I don't know what else all's in there. Alcohol's a presence nowadays, but basically she wanted to call it Uniclub, but thought it would have more effect as a story as Unicult. And now I think she's starting to distance herself from maybe the fact that people might be starting to worship her. Maybe that's not quite what she wants. That, spiritual liberation.
That's interesting.
Instead of,
First of all,
celebrity.
Before I comment further on that, my view on that, I just want to ask: when you read the book, how do they view the outside world? Do they define an outside world and that they are like that they have got the truth and the rest of the world has not got the truth? Can you see that kind of?
Well, I was definitely, even to the point, okay, this was not her personally, but some of the accusations have been made in the live chats and the Discord. It's like, what? Belief makes okay. You can manifest things according to your beliefs or your feelings and that sort of stuff. And feelings are an experience, and they're a fact, but they're not quite the same as. So when you accuse people of, never accuse anybody. I don't know how things are in your country, but in my country, if you say someone's a federal agent and it's not wide open that they are a federal agent and they happen to be one, that can be 10 years in prison. So it's a very dangerous thing going around accusing people of being federal agents. So that's one of the conspiracies against me, I guess. Another one, and it's like, I don't know. It's like whenever I'm surrounded by witnesses or something and I never leave the property, then people. I'm not going somewhere at night to commit violent crimes or something. Whatever you think. Well, my reality are. It's like, dude, no. So that there's some paranoid stuff going on there. I don't know what point I was making with that, but
Yes,
basically the idea, everybody has their own reality, and it's like, that's the sort of thing you need to invalidate, or at least tell people, hey, when you have these thoughts, keep them to yourself. Just like this one guy apparently had rape fantasies about her, and I was like, dude, keep that to yourself. And if you have these desires, whatever, she does post videos that kind of get a little lewd, I guess you would say, but I mean, they're playful. It's not in that context. The magic world around us. I didn't expect to see that level of nudity on YouTube without a warning, but I guess nobody's flagged it yet, or at least nobody flagged it then. But you can tell by the comments, people paused that video, and it's it's a feminist cult. So that can be an issue if you somehow. I don't know. I didn't know who all the trannies were in the group, apparently, and supposedly a tiny little thing in the middle of a computer screen or a phone, you're supposed to know, oh, this person must be a transsexual. It's like, you can't tell that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some separation with physical reality, but in general, I mean, they're getting involved in the whole Black Lives Matter cause rather than equal rights and some other stuff. But generally, the outside world is, some people want to keep their membership in the group secret, like is common with a lot of groups. Even mainstream groups, for some reason, people don't. But I'm getting sort of, off on a tangent here. But
if we look at
they believe they can change the outside world, like a lot of groups.
Yeah, when they cannot, then they isolate in a small group, and they basically think that only they have got the correct way and that they will be saved and that doomsday is to come and so forth, and the rest of the world is doomed.
Well,
So that
that's part of the. I mean, it's slightly morbid, but not really. I was interested. It's that the price of the book seems steep comparatively, but there's certainly worse. You know, people charging $100 for some obscure book, and it's like it has almost no information.
yes.
I mean, I can't really think of anything Unicult has to offer that you can't find elsewhere. But in one package, I've it's like I've looked into Eckankar. And Eckankar, you can get 50 of their books and not have the subject matter covered. Certainly, they're better at the stories and some techniques and stuff. But as far as basic things, there is an adaptation that's not in this book. She talks about so is the meditative word for Unicult, I guess, and interlacing that every so often an O, so and O, basically not representing anything too much in terms of meaning, but you know what I mean. It's sort of making pause and sort of reacting to something that's maybe a surprise, but so that's I guess what they do on their
Um, I have reflected on the fact that money is involved, and that's not a strange thing. I mean, a lot of people turn against the idea of earning money when it comes to spirituality, but however, when it comes to money here in this case, I see it as possibly being a motivating factor. I mean, if you can make money on this, well, why not? That's one aspect of it, that money may be a driving force underlying this very spiritual engagement they are having, but also
even with the retreats. One of the things, I'm not sure they do make money, because she said very minimally the amount she's made, and probably like me, she's probably spent thousands of dollars into her channel, including books and everything else that she just hasn't actually got it back. And what they charge for the membership or the welcome packet or something, and it's like they may be getting a couple dollars per each of those. So it's you're not even paying the minimum wage to get this thing out to you. So it's like, but if they want to make money on their media, it's like, yeah, I can't be critical of people making money on media, because I think that's just fine. Now the ritual,
I agree.
The ritual for hire, I kind of I personally don't favor that. I figure it's something that society should allow, but I'm personally against it. Like, for example, in an Islamic state, they allow people to be professional priests and stuff like this. It's just not part of the religion. But so if somebody's going out there reading cards or being hired to perform a prayer or something, it's not something that Islam itself does. But as far as the government, they're like, they're not out there stopping people. So I kind of have that same approach with a lot of stuff myself. I may be against stuff, but even if I was in charge, I wouldn't try to force things to be different.
The thing that I reflected when I saw the book and this, I mean, when if I buy this book, then it is not only the information that I buy, but I buy like an initiation into the cult. This book is mediating not only the information, but is also mediating the very essence or energy and also presence of this cult. And I invite it in my life by showing that I am willing to offer something in return, namely money that I have worked to get. So it is like a transaction or like an agreement saying, hey, I want to join this and I am genuine. And then I receive this as a gift in return. So in this case, I say that the price, it's justified because, yeah, it's not only about the book, I think.
Well, even if it's not part of the I guess they've repackaged things now that they're trying to sell it as a new member packet or something like that, where you get the book and a hat and and some stickers in your membership little form and that sort of thing, and they send you back a little thing to you know, with a candle or something. And well, that you know, it's weird. She has this obsession with obsolete media, and it's like the tape. That even though I can't find the cord for a tape player, it's kind of hard when you got an old house with 6 people's stuff in it, and you're trying to find. Nobody uses tapes anymore, so I think just the fact that they made the tape like this, I think it's pretty cool even by itself. Without, I don't know what it's supposed to have, some weird music on it or something like that. But I think of books in that sort of way. I don't have to be officially initiated into some sort of priesthood or something like that, where they verify every little step. Like I've mentioned Islam. Did you know the word for chapter in the Quran? Surah means rank. So every chapter that you learn is considered like a degree of initiation.
Well, that's interesting.
And
Because
so, you know, it's different than they in Unicult they have, I guess, 7 degrees of initiation, but nowadays they don't tell you publicly. I mean, I guess after you're part of the first level, maybe at some point you'll get information about how to up your level or something like that. I'm not sure of anything other than just upping your level and getting maybe another sheet of paper or something that says a little something else. I'm not sure of that, but I mean, yeah, I think of reading and studying and perhaps even living books as an initiation in that way.
when I studied this by watching her presentation of her cult here, I thought to myself that she is playful in her attitude to it. It is also almost like a playful game that she has decided to create a cult, like, hey, let's create a cult. And it is not this serious thing that we really believe in this and that we group together and therefore the cult arises naturally. No, that may be the case when we consider the Christians who are isolating in the desert because they are in a cult. But here she thought, in my perception, she just thought like, hey, let's experiment with what it means to build a cult. And that therefore she always is somewhere between being serious and being non-serious, being playful and being serious, somewhere in between that, and therefore everything is allowed. They can try every single cult technique they want to try, and at the same time dismiss it as just playful when it doesn't suit anymore. So always they can go all in, but always also say that, yeah, we are not really all in because this is playful.
And yeah, well, I mean, and the fact that she's clarified to an extent the whole joy thing. It's not necessarily that you're in bliss all the time. That's not a realistic expectation. It's that you're authentic about whatever emotion that you're having.
That's an intelligent way to view the joy, because then the joy lands in the creative process of experiencing whatever emotion you have, not at all in conforming to the idea that you have to be in joy and smiling all the time.
And it's interesting. I think she may have seen something outside of herself and then decided it was her. So it's not quite the same thing. You know, this blue alien Arcturian thing. But Arcturian means the bear keeper or something like that. So basically, circus master. So it's interesting that fits in, that sort of theme fits into the whole thing. But it's an essential spiritual realization. I had it. I mean, I posted a video. I went back to the site where I no longer just believed I had a soul. I mean, that I was the soul. I wasn't this body, that sort of thing. So you realize, you know, so many of us have not just believed it, but we've realized that we are alien in that sort of way. I mean, we're operating these bodies and stuff, but we really are something that's not even that. So, that just seems to be the way that she's attached to that idea, that she's not, this whole star seed thing. It's like, okay, we're not trapped here forever.
When you started to talk about the Arcturians, I got an intuition to just draw a card as I was thinking of her. Because I have my tarot cards here on the table. It was not planned at all. They just I just found them in front of me here. So I drew a card and I got the Fool. The Fool card. The first card in the tarot deck. And it may signify that she has entered her spiritual journey, and that this cult is the very medium that she benefits the most from in her personal spiritual journey. So this doesn't have to be, this does not have to mean that her cult has to be wonderful and be a good example or anything. Her cult can be the very manifestation of the processes she is meant to work with to go her own spiritual journey. And at the same time,
just like I didn't quite, just like I don't want to put the blame on her entirely for others' behavior, even though I got removed from her from some of her servers. But I mean, you can't block someone on Twitter. All they have to do is look you up, and they see your tweets. Anyways, it's it just doesn't. Yeah. It's a silly thing to do just to oh, see, I'm going to make a point of letting you know that you belong. But. Yeah. It seems they're all on their developing journey, and that's sort of
exact. And I will also point out that this card, the first one, the Fool card, it doesn't mean anything negative. People may think that it is negative because it's named the Fool, but it's not a negative card at all. It has to be put in context, and even if a very advanced person has come very far, this person can still get the Fool card because it may point at something that is happening right now, a part of the journey that one has to understand.
And the aspect about the Fool card of the inside and the outside of things, that sort of thing is they want to figure out how to live off the grid. And I mean, the internet's I don't care how encrypted or whatever, the U.S. State Department set up the dark web. The internet's been recorded starting in 1994. The British, Americans, and Israelis have been recording all the long-range walkie-talkies, all the internet, all the phone calls. There's, they have, machines and drives and all sorts of stuff storing this stuff for at least that long. And the Chinese and the Russians are definitely part of it, and who knows how many other countries. So I'm not worried about what's recorded in that way anyways, but it's sort of the paradox is that, okay, they want to live off the grid, they want to be all American, they want to have a huge technologically driven presence, but then again, they don't want to be watched or anything like anybody else by anybody that's not on the list. So it's kind of interesting in that respect.
The very interesting thing that is, when they live off grid, they live in their own isolated little community, and then they are going to be watched all the time. The leaders, those who are having more influence, those who are set to maintain order, they have to watch the others as to protect from the influences that can ruin their cult. I mean, they are in opposition to the rest of the world. Otherwise, they would not live off grid.
So they don't as of yet. Lzxwvmmh. I like to combine the two, because if she wants to be called by Z or Zer, Zer, it sounds like because what it sounds like. I think that's a pretty. But obviously, if they ever stop getting regular jobs or and it's going to end up a problem if they all move into a compound and they're trying to sign over their welfare checks and stuff like that. That's not going to go over too well, over too well, because then they really look at it and it's like, yeah, because what tends to happen in that case. It's not like you're living in a retirement home. It's like you're living in minimal living in order for the leader to drive a $50,000 car or something.
Yeah, because if you look at the live chats and the community and people, I mean, you will have people who do not behave in good ways. And there comes a time where the leader has to establish boundaries. And I know from my perspective, they teach that everything is one and love and so forth is the greatest thing. And we all are together. But at some point they will have to draw the boundaries, and these boundaries will reflect that we all are not at all the same, in the sense that we are going to love and hug all the time.
Well, definitely. That seems to be one of the problems that I guess has to be worked out. Is that okay? It's like on my channel. I disagree with me all you want, whatever, and she wants attention, but then she doesn't want comments that she doesn't. If she perfectly understands and perfectly agrees with you, then. But if it's a different comment, it's like, well, don't get offended, or don't get offended because people. I mean, you basically she's attracting people with her feminine wiles, and in a way you could say, which is. Pretty, but then she doesn't want to be identified as a female, and she doesn't want attention. So it's very. Inconsistent with that aspect. That
the very thing about attention and so forth. I mean, she has been talking about different groups in society having different privileges. I don't go further into that discussion, but I have to point out that she, as a woman, is having privilege. Because if I, as a man, do the same thing, I will not receive attention in the same way. It is very well observed on internet, for example, that when women put up images,
well, especially running naked through the forest, or showing your breasts on the video, people
exactly.
don't really.
So we can also question, of course, the quality of the attention. In this case, a lot of men will attend to the woman in question, but a part of what makes this float may be that she's a feminine person, and she gets male attention. I would want to know.
Well, people want validity for their opinion. People want validated in their opinion and experience, which is so a group where things aren't quite as formed. It's like one of the draws to Eckankar, for example, is they use the word ek, and you don't know what ek means half the time, and so you can have as many as 10 people saying the word ek and mean something different in the same exact context, because in a way, it's. Let's the next bit we go over this, but it's like. So it's sort of a grouping together. It's like, okay, there's dreams. You can experiment if you want to do drugs and sex magic. If you don't want to do, if you think the whole sex robot thing is weird, you can just not talk about it. Just stay out of that specific server or something. I mean, I don't think they actually have a specific server for that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's.
Yeah, exactly. They create different places for the different discussions. Is that how you meant it?
I mean, yeah, it's not as. But basically, what I'm saying is, yes, threats and stuff like that need to be dealt with. Like, like remove the people, and if people are, posting pornography in the private chat or something like this, and it's not what's being done.
Yeah, exactly.
But
this is very interesting, because the cult leader who is preaching love will at some point have to resort to power and violence in order to counteract other people who are going to use power and violence in order to overthrow.
Well,
So
not quite violence, but it's like one of the things is obviously made a presence with there and a lot of other places. Like, where in the world do they not? What backwoods village of New Guinea or something like this do they not know about Christianity?
yes,
So there's people who come. It's like the one after brunch was kind of ruined by that. Somebody came in and it's like, dude, we know what Christianity is, and basically people weren't strong enough to kind of keep that kind of going. Well, I mean, I sort of, I sort of was. I'm like, but this is, not the point. It's like, if you want to discuss Christianity, we can go somewhere else and chat this. Well, I mean, I'm not meeting up random strangers on the internet, at least not men. But the yeah, well, not that either. That's some issue too. I'm not,
yes.
no Tinder
I
days.
have I have to I have to just note here, clarify the term and how I meant it in the
You're blurring. Is there some weather issue there or something?
I think I lost. Now I can hear sound again here.
Okay. Is there a weather issue or something like that going on over there? Or
No, my connection is very stable.
me, I have that thing myself, and they try to charge you $60 a month when it can take 20 something days to get your 2 hours of full speed. I'm not falling for that.
No,
But
I have full connection, and there should be no issues with my connection, at least.
it looks like I don't even see a cloud out this window here, so I don't know what it is, but anyways, I guess I'm rambling. I was trying to be precise with this, but that's fine. I guess
was
maybe
thinking
we'll
about
discuss the symbol.
See how the sound is now. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you? Yeah, I was thinking about the attention thing, that I asked myself, who are the men who attend to her? What do they look like, and where are they in life, and how comfortable are they in their days, and how many women are there in the cult? It would be
Well,
interesting to see. Yeah, I know they have perhaps they have perhaps.
It seems to be dominated by women and not so much. It's like your average feminism talking about matriarchy and all that sort of stuff. It tends to be, oh, they want to be in charge. It's not that they really thought things out and figure out how are things going to be better for society. It's like, now people, I mean, like me to say this, but you can really link the abuse, particularly sexual and whatnot. Okay, yeah, a drug factor is involved in most of the, you can tie to most of the things, damage or current use or something. But feminism is the leading philosophy for mistreatment of women and children. I mean, even though that's supposedly not what it's about, because obviously you want to make females superior. Its end results end up being that there ends up being some women feeling empowered, but as a rule, it disempowers far more, and women just being traditional women or natural women, or you'd call it, kind of fall to the wayside and even feel like they're not, there's something seriously wrong with them, that they even have their moods change throughout the month or something, which is fine. It's not a mental disorder. It's not bipolar or borderline personality or whatever they're going to call most women nowadays.
I think that a lot of men who seek their manhood will have to struggle with ideas of feminism that have been put in their minds. And this, yeah, when you strive to arrive at your manhood, to become a man, to find your masculinity. I think that the young men are afraid of it because they think that it automatically will mean that they are against women, that they put women down because of becoming men. But that's not true.
Well, it's like look at mythology. One of the things that it's like Order of Nine Angles and some of these other ones have tried to put forward an idea of you know, like it's like some of these things are exceptions. You know, sword maidens and all this other stuff that you hear in mythology. It's not like most of the women weren't this. It's like the Celtic people had 6 virtues of womanhood and honored the women for this. Other cultures that weren't feminist at all said that women, you know, the women that what women support of their men, and vice versa. People are sharing in credit of that. So a good woman, it's not that the ruler gets all. No, the ruler's wives, you know, they may get more credit overall than he does, you know, but you know that's sort of dismissed. And it's like back in the reason why they pushed feminism in America in particular was they figured out that you could get twice the people working for the same job for the same price. So they started pushing it in the media. Oh, don't let it's like every other show was about I Love Lucy and all that was about don't leave those women alone. Make them work during the day because look at all the trouble they're going to get in all the time and all this. It's that your life's going to just be easier if you send them to work. And that's what ended up happening. And now in my country, it's the point where 3 people work for that one person's job. So they weren't even the companies weren't even responsible for that. Abortion. I agree to save a life. At the very least, that should be, you know, an option. But when people find out they have a female fetus, whether you're communist, capitalist, sort of almost an anarchic sort of society, you pretty much end up focusing abortion on female infants. It goes, the chances go way up if you find out that you're gonna that a woman's going to give birth to a female.
That's interesting.
I'm not sure about all countries, but pretty much America, China, Russia, whole series of European ones. I can't vouch for all of them. Africa,
yeah,
a bunch of countries there. So things aren't as cut and dry in those areas.
No.
But it's interesting in history. Did you know some of the in different continents actually what you could call feminism was actually not fought by a bunch of sexist males, but fought by people pushing for equal rights.
Yes.
Whether it was Abu Bakr or whether it was some Asian ruler or whether it was somebody deep in Africa or I think even up in Europe, I guess there was. You know what happens when you end up with enough widows that are powerful, and I think whether it was a war or something that did this one, where was it in Europe? But basically they tried to. It did sound like a feminist sort of group, but people wanted to bring back equality in society, and that's why they kind of lost power. But they had you know, the richest people in society, the husbands were gone, and so you had a whole series of women that were basically ruling this area, but they were ruling it in a way that women were better, and people didn't like that. So it's interesting that the actual but it's a word that I don't think she doesn't really make it sound like she means it like feminism. She means it like you know, because people are told, oh, equal rights means feminism. Equal rights means not police reform or something like that. It means Black Lives Matter. It means so there's words that people use as buzzwords. So that's. Did I lose you? I don't know what's with the signal today.
Yeah, for a bit there. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm getting. I'm at 4 bars. I should be fine at even 1. So I'm something's happened in between us, I guess. But
yeah.
before we go too far off or something, might as well discuss what the official meaning for the symbol is. So on the far left of the thing, we have the red. So the red. Oh yeah, the interesting spelling. A lot of groups do this. They use capital letters for some odd reason, and they use weird spelling. So 3V3, is Eve, and so basically they use numbers in place of vowels or something at times. Or do they use a 1 for an L or something sometimes? I don't know, but that sort of thing. So the red line is about matriarchy and changing industry. So this is what I was talking about with the sex robots, and maybe somehow, like one of her ideas with the sex robots is somehow to train people, like the phrase. I mean,
Hello.
I don't know what in the world's going on with this, but but basically, okay. The thing is, there is a divinely favored feminine spark, I guess you could call it. They're not quite phrasing it that way, but so that's the root of it, is basically realizing the spiritual value of the feminine, but using technology to train people.
Do they have something similar for the masculine?
That's as I'm saying, that's sort of the thing that's kind of lacking per se. When Jeremy Gardner was around, she obviously did stuff with him, but he was just like the dude with the beard in the video. There wasn't anything particular other than the fact that you knew he was male. It didn't really bring anything distinct in that perspective. I'm not sure that anything, because like, for example, when I consider if I'm gonna pair with a woman, I want somebody that maybe has some stuff to offer that I don't. And likewise, so I didn't really notice that from what was available with him, that he brought anything to the table other than he was present.
Because if they do not have a divine masculine spark in Unicult, then what does it say about the men who are drawn to this cult? I mean, they are not drawn to the cult because there is a strong masculine principle there that they will desire to embody, but they are drawn there because of something else. They are drawn to the divine feminine. They want to be loved by the divine mother, and or something like that. But as I understand it, with the archetypes and so on, that they have to be kicked out in the world and to be left alone and to be denied the love of this divine mother or something, and then to seek their masculinity.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's not just about, there's not the dichotomy of left-hand path, right-hand path, like people keep talking about. That's nonsense. But the certainly the identifying, it's like a balanced yogi isn't just worshiping and just doing nothing, other than just meditating all the time. There's more to it than that. And likewise, so you got to have something to identify with. It's not just, oh, I want to be, accepted by this. So yeah, think that would be something that could hold them back. But if they bring it in wrong, that may not. If they just bring it in to bring it in, that could be a breaking factor too. So
I think that to a lot of men, she becomes that fantasy woman who accepts them for who they are. That the men, they do not have to do anything, but they will be loved by this divine woman. And she takes this role perhaps to a lot of the men there. when in fact the truth is that women do not at all love men just because of who they are. They do not love men for doing nothing. They love men who have become something. But here the men are they are attracted to this unconditional love.
It's the format of every other, particularly of a spiritual nature. Okay, well, there's I mean, you know, there's not the polar opposites of gender either. That's nonsense. But I mean, the exact form of what traits and what traits, you know, it's like, oh, you're good at math. Okay, that doesn't mean you're a male. But the oh, well, I'm I'm off of some the oh, okay, you say something. I lost my train.
What I saw was in summary that she takes the role of the woman who is having unconditional love, and the men, they seek her because they seek this ideal woman because they have
did I say that basically every female spiritual YouTubers, not everyone, but a lot of them are out there trying to remind people that they love their subscribers or something like that, or are the virtual girlfriend channels. It's like,
exactly.
I thought it was a weird hypnosis to me. That was it. I wasn't like, I'm so lonely, I watch you poppy videos. It's like, no, I'm trying to make weird comments to get people to think, and like, it's just not worth it in that channel, at least my experimentation with that. But they always, it's like, I love, you know, you know, you're all my children, and you know, I love you, and that sort of thing. And it's like,
the truth is,
her most, you know, her most,
is that,
was it Paris? I was never on it. She's on so many servers. It's like you can't follow her on your phone unless you have the top phone that basically has half of its space dedicated to programs to view her on.
Yeah. You know,
but her most I was on one of her live chats, and she actually responded to me with this. Now she basically tries to pretend I don't exist, I guess, for the most part. But other people don't quite, so it's okay. She her most viewed thing was, she would literally sometimes be rolling around on her bed in her underwear, and she had more than twice the subscribers that she does for her YouTube channel, she said. So
yes,
and so you know where she can get her popularity. It's like, you find these women that they get better as it goes by, but some of these women, they pick up a spiritual book and read something once a month or once a week or something, and I mean, they're not studying things like as if they were taking a course or something, and you know, show a little bra, you know, okay, have my panties sticking out outside of my pants when I talk, and they have more subscribers than EA Coeting and stuff like this, and it's like they literally have far less to offer of, you know, but some of this stuff isn't intentional. People figure, like, it's like, one of the things is like, they figure, oh, men aren't enticed, and no, our behavior is largely learned from what women. Now, I'm not saying that people are excused for their criminal behavior. What I'm saying is there are factors that may lead up to it that people need to deal with. Or I'm not even talking about, I'm going outside the criminal element for a thing, but people act like you can walk down the street and women wearing bikinis and stuff like this, that men shouldn't even talk to them like they're wearing a bikini, or even they shouldn't pay attention. They have to ask permission to pay attention. And I remember I was going on a cave trip. The summer solstice in particular it was a time that I used to like to try to organize a trip to go out of the city, off into the wilderness, up in some mountain or some cave or something. And I hurt, so I have to stop every once in a while anyway. So I figure, let's do a ritual, let's meditate, something like that. So we do that. But on the way out of town, we stopped somewhere, and this woman came over, all painted up and all this other stuff, and we were having our conversation. And this woman was like, you could tell she was upset that she couldn't get any of us to talk to her, because she walked around us and went over, and there was just apparently there was nothing on our side of the parking lot or anything like that. And it's like, okay, so should I go over there and get her number so she feels better or something? But you don't know nowadays. So people paint themselves up and all this other stuff and act like, oh, it's not for the men. It's not for any attention by the men. I don't even want the attention by them. It's like,
Exactly.
and this pretending. It's like, okay, age is not. I'm not saying break the law. I'm not, and I'm definitely not saying to anybody that statute law should be what fills the prisons. That's absolute nonsense. It shouldn't be like, if you can marry somebody at 12 in one state, if somebody lies about their age and says they're 17, it's illegal in another state to even go out with them. That's a bunch of nonsense right there. But when women get older than 25, they're all pretending to look like they're 13 to 25 anyways. So that's idiotic anyways. It's like, if they're pretending like they have no wrinkles or any of that other stuff, So again, it's repression. They accuse other people of being repressed and all that stuff, but it's really, well, that's a definite type of repression. Repression isn't whether or not you're engaging in activity; it's that you're pretending that the desires don't exist and you're not.
Yeah. Yes. That's a huge discussion that is very complicated. So I just yeah. But when I watch the picture there, I have this sense that what she's doing, it has to do with power, that there is power involved. But when you come into these new age circles, they always love to deny all the power. Perhaps not her herself, I don't know, but the people who go into it, the men and women who are fans, they want to escape from the terrible world of power struggle.
She definitely tries to act like, oh, well, you're all the leaders, and maybe
Yes.
if you go super right-wing in governments, it's actually less government control, more government control, and in the middle is democracy, which is almost non-existent. You can have that constitutional by some principle or free fall for all, but my country's never been a democracy, but we like to tell ourselves we're democracies, and that's where part of the issue lies with how these people talk, is that they've been told their whole lives a democracy isn't a democracy. It's a republic. So that's really what we're trying for here, is our own sort of spiritual republic, where you got you give people enough say, but you don't give people quite total say over the rulership or the rules of society. You kind of limited in that way. But one of the ways that once you get on that side or further left, you're going to do stuff like, you're going to start, like the church I was raised in. You become a full-fledged member when you're 8 years old. Some churches at 7. You get your, and then you get confirmed as a member and all that. And maybe when you're 12, in the church that I was raised in, you became, you were a man, and well, whether you hit puberty or not, apparently, you were considered of the priesthood, and the females had their own ranks. And every couple years, if you were worthy and you behaved yourself and paid your tithe, and it wasn't just you said you were a believer, they had to verify some sort of character or behavior or something involved with that. But every so often you moved your way up, and on top of that, there was, in those groups, you could move your way up. And one of the things it did is that, unlike like the Catholic Church, where you could get a job from the start and you could earn more than most people in your area, you had to spend your way years and years working for the church, being a local leader and all that for free, a regional leader, to get any payment from the church. So there was you pretty much expected anybody at the top of the church, which is international, the biggest Protestant church nowadays. I don't know if it was when I was a kid. It's certainly could surpass Catholics as the biggest church in America. But one of the things you want to do is you want to give everybody some level of authority. like I said before, the authority of merit, that you've done this, that you've learned this, is one way that's looked at, and it's not so authoritarian. And then there's authoritarian way of, uh, so at some point, maybe that's part of the reason why it's limited. Because the horn is the paths to steps on the path to joy, but it's really conducive to it's very intentionally the number of ranks in Unicult. And I don't know if it's like other groups that, is she one of the seventh degree people, or is there nobody on the seventh degree except her? Like some groups, they'll set up a order, and at least she's not doing the ridiculous thing of, okay, you can make your way up to seventh initiate, but I'm like 7,000th initiate, and there's just no way, it's set up in a way, there's just no way for anybody else to ever, but among the seventh initiates, after I die, someone will have a dream. And the image of her for her new album coming out is kind of like this. Is kind of, there's like a look of discontent on her face, and it's like she's holding a sword that's turning into fire, and there's flames all about. I don't. She's mixing a whole bunch of stuff right there. I'm not exactly what is she, the god that's supposed to be the goddess Athena, but a little dark, but a little light, and a little discontent at the same time. And it's an interesting drawing.
Yes, when I watch this, it is like she is a combination of a pop star and a spiritual cult leader and a regular person. She's a combination of all of it. So because of this element of playfulness in all of it, she is allowed to experiment with all of it. So, we admire pop stars, or perhaps these teenage pop stars who are very popular, and all the teenagers, they are admiring them and so on. That's partly like a religious experience to them. And what we are doing in religion when we are attending to Jesus Christ, as if Jesus Christ is a superhuman, the very same thing happens with people and pop stars. And here she is, to my understanding, partly like a pop star, and that perhaps is her interest. And
well, that's the thing. She thought one of the things that maybe pushed us along is her post college. Her music wasn't taking on, so it just became a factor into things. Our art just she was on MTV. They did it was I guess a not very watched show, but in comparison to some of them. But it was like a one episode thing or something like that. Like a real life, or I don't know what this thing was. No, real life's a series sort of thing. So I that's not just. I think she was part of an episode for something, but basically the idea was people who were starting their own religion. So she wrote in, and they decided to film her. Partially, they would have chosen her because, well, she does some sort of electronic music, so that's the sort of the thing. She doesn't seem to do binaural beats or patterns that are known to create certain effects. She doesn't seem knowledgeable in that respect. Or I think she would honestly do that because, the eye there represents the media. You see the spiral in some of the icons for the eye, but in this, you don't see the spiral here. So I guess if there's another edition of this book, she'll probably get the spiral down.
I think I lost you.
Well, I was saying the media aspect. That's what the eye is. So definitely, she wants to be involved media wise, and
yes,
she calls herself a celebrity. And a lot of people say, well, she doesn't have the level of attention that would make a celebrity. But I mean, who in the world decides that part, anyways? But there's something said a bunch of times. Now I've said that there's a chant. The other chant, I guess, that you could say in the book, I try to find, it's like if there's a spiritual book and there's like a blank page that's a particular number, you tend to find stuff, it's like 69, 72, 36, stuff like that. You see, it's like there's got to be some people are doing it on intentionally. So I'm going to look at the the different aspects. I want to get the exact phrase. It's in here. It's in here somewhere. She says there's a phrase that said 77 times, and as you know, the tarot is 78 cards. So I think one of the things that she may be trying to, anything is possible. So for some reason, under the heading miracles, they got this anything is possible said 77 times, I think. I might be wrong, but it looks like 77 times. And so she may be her heal evil, because I sort of have that idea too. Is like, one, there's not really totally evil beings. That's like something that that a lot of Christians have put on us. That's not quite true. Because I think even Satan had good deeds. That's why there was actually a fall, according to the story. Is that he's a pretty cool guy until he decided, that human being, I don't know about showing honor. I'm not going to say no to that part. So basically, the story makes clear that there was some value to Satan beforehand. So I don't know if she's trying to hint at the devil card being removed there, but anyways, that's one of the things that she says. So she's trying to embody. It's like every card, the pips, the trumps, it may be talking about external and organizing external physical and spiritual realities, but it's talking about us. It's something we're going to have to deal with, something we've dealt with. That's when tarot really opens itself, in my opinion, is when you realize the deck, all these oracles, it's talking about you. All the mythology is talking about you. So you don't have to ever worry when you perform a ritual or flip through something or organize some art or something that, some blinding light didn't come out of the sky and some being that I can't describe did something. Sometimes stuff like that happens, but it's like you're not worried about that. And it fits into the whole theme of not suffering. It's like suffering is not difficulty. They're different things. And it's very important. It'd be a jerk and privileged thing to go around saying that hardship is a choice. You're chosen to it. It's like, I remember sitting with this guy in a group, and basically they implied that his daughter had been brutally raped because of some karma from a past life. And it was very difficult, I guess, for him not to get up and go across the room and deal with that an old-fashioned way. But so it doesn't, if they do talk about reincarnation, they're not sort of that super black and white way that everything is because you deserved it. I think everything's a test, but and I don't think they actually, she believes in reincarnation because she says, like, well, it's like playing video games. You want to play different video games, and how do you expect to get all this? I don't think it's necessary, but but I don't think it's necessary for the other group members to believe in reincarnation either. So that's an important thing about that. I think that this group is allowed to have the online or membership presence that it does, is that it doesn't sit back and say reincarnation, no reincarnation, drugs, no drugs, robots, no robots. It's like you can choose what you want, sort of.
When I did watch her, it came to my mind that perhaps she's living much in her own world, and she has drawn all of this attention to herself, but she doesn't really see the people. They are not really close to her, but they are far away in the distance and close to her own eyes and fantasies and spiritual aspirations. I think this is common to a lot of people, and this is not necessarily something bad that I myself have this to some degree.
It's not like
that your attention is. I think I lost the sound.
I don't know what's if you say it's good on your end, it's good on my end. Something in between. I don't know.
Yeah, I got a message on the screen that said that your band before.
What?
I got a message on my screen that said that your bandwidth is low.
Okay, I'm seeing that it's higher than it is most of the time. We can check the other thing. It looks like I'm at almost full signal.
Yeah, it goes from yellow to red to white here. From red to yellow to white. Now it is white again, so I guess it's fine here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on my end. There was something going on the other a week ago, or I forget which day or something like that, where they basically I couldn't phone. There were people across my country I couldn't phone. There were certain people you couldn't text message, or they attacked several servers in our country and overloaded them. So I don't know. Hopefully they're not doing that sort of thing again, because it looks like I have a good signal. So there's something internet going on between us that's an issue.
I have a little signal icon here, and beside your name, and it is white most of the time, and then it goes to yellow. Now it is yellow, and now it's white again, and sometimes it goes to red.
Okay, that's okay. If it's happening when I'm not looking, but I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing anything. But well, let's just go through it. Okay, the two. The orange line. So the orange line is. I don't know if there's any significance to it being smaller, but the orange line is. They add the word uni to everything. So uni science, uni kids, uni acres, uni business, uni data, uni cultism, uniform, you know, that sort of thing.
Uniform. Yes, uniform. Everyone has to be the same.
But okay, the science, the messed up, people don't know. They act like there's philosophy of science and there's science. So philosophy of science can be wrong because people can draw out conclusions that aren't just accurate. But science is the facts. That's it. That's how I understand it from a Latin basis, and that's how I was raised with the understanding of it. So that's, you know, I wasn't raised one of those churches that they tell you that the Earth's less than 6,000 years old, which happens to be when the Marduk cult, the Jewish calendar dates from the date that the Marduk cult started to take over in Haran, and so apparently there was some political issues with the priesthood, and Abraham left. Is that how the real story went? Actually, it sort of was, because he says, I don't like these statues, and they're having a new cult in Marduk and his 50 names and taking over the other gods, and anybody questioning any of these god roles, or the fact that they have to be embodied or anything like that, no, you're kind of out. So
I lost this. I think I lost the sound here again.
Well, I was talking about Marduk and the 50 names, and
yeah,
why the Hebrew calendar preserves that, and creation science and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's not real science, but science may not disprove certain things. It's like, I don't know if you saw my video where I was explaining what I was seeing last night, but or feeling and stuff, and it's like, what I saw, what I felt. Whenever I post a video like that, it's like, okay, I know right well, a lot of it's not physical. Even the sensual aspect. It's like if I feel this rush of euphoria, like like being in the hospital taking painkillers or something, and they give you a little more than you need, right? Um, but you don't fall down. That's the thing about ritual. If you get a feeling like that, you don't necessarily fall down or anything like you do in the uh, when you're when you're doped up. Um, I was never a recreational drug user. That's one of the things that. But anyways, you know, you don't know. So science as something connected to the beyond, much like she does. I'm sure they shy away from words like this. I mean, there have been some satanic people or something that have found their way into the into the Unicult servers and stuff, but they kind of shy away from that language and stuff like that. Or um, or it's like fairies, but not demons. No, not demons. Even trolls are okay, but not but
Oh,
anyway, science is something that goes that's more than physical, and that's sort of the way it's a method. They don't go too well into methods, and that's again, if there was a male energy into working out rules and methods and stuff, and she brought out more in terms of stories, I think this it could be a group that could be much bigger. I think.
yes. And
Just like some and some groups, like I mentioned Ekankar. You know what keeps Ekankar down? If it kept as a comparative religion, but if the guy tries to program people into thinking he's their like granddaddy god or father god, and but he doesn't quite say it, but he leads people towards saying that, and obviously they have to start. You know, you be a member for 10 months, and they send you a piece of paper that says, "Stop praying to whatever you're praying to." They don't say it in these words, but basically, pray to me. And some people don't even figure it out when they get that 10th. They need the what happens the next year or the next year. And by then, a lot of people's like, oh, well, I don't want to admit that I've fell for this, so I'm kind of just because you can tell there's people who've been in the group for even 20 years that don't quite want to quite admit that they don't believe this. You know, the guy is the voice in your head that controls your dreams and your outer life. And but even though they've been told this, they just they're in it because they like Joseph Campbell, and they want a place where they can discuss dreams for less than $200 an hour.
yeah,
You know, $5 a month membership fee, and you can go to their member meeting and talk dreams and stuff even more. So it's I think that's what a lot of people get into stuff is that, but that's how things used to be. There weren't psychologists. You'd go off to your priest and discuss things, or you discuss things with your family. And nowadays people don't do that. They even phone the police because they want someone to talk to.
yeah, exactly. The family has been externalized. The family has been outsourced. You have the institutions. They are providing what the families provided before, and the priests. Yeah, we have the psychologists instead, and so forth.
It's like look at what I mean. Okay, I'll bring up Islam again as an example. They don't believe in drugs except for survival, and that used to include caffeine until caffeine became too profitable. For hundreds of years, they were in charge of the coffee and a lot of the caffeine teas, and they were in charge of khat and all sorts of stuff. And they basically didn't sell it to themselves; they didn't sell it to others. There were people who went off and got some coffee or something like this. But this was just, you know. But once somebody they started, people wanting to make money decided maybe this was different, and society changed. But and anyways, I don't know how that relates to consciousness and having experiences or not having them or whatnot. But dreams. One of their practices is after the dawn prayer, when you show up to the congregational prayer, you can discuss dreams and their interpretation. I don't know
Yeah,
anywhere in my country where that's the case, but that's one of the traditions. But nowadays, people are saying, oh, yeah, here's where it relates. They're saying, go to a psychologist, take medication. They don't even test people to see if they have chemical imbalances, and you want to put drugs in there. But yeah, it used to be spirituality took care of this stuff. They
yeah,
taught you how not to have nightmares. They taught you how to get over get over grief. in European culture, they had habits of seasonal depression was an almost non-existent thing because they had a culture based on, hey, you know it's cloudy, you know it's rainy or snow or something, still go get your, unless it's a blizzard, get yourself outside a certain amount every day, or if not every day, figure out on a weekly basis. And there were traditions around that sort of stuff, around eating different foods during different times of year and stuff like this, eating certain amounts, that sort of stuff. So people didn't have the problems that they do nowadays because they lived in a way that regarded nature.
Yeah.
Just like nowadays we, you know, there's a problem in my family with loud TV and arguments right before bed, are in the middle between sleep periods, and then saying, well, I've had such trouble sleeping. It's like, I've known a lot of people that have just swallowed their pride and said, hey, I need it. I got to admit, I need it quiet before I need to start quieting down before bedtime, before I go to bed. It's just something I do. But we want to stay up all night. So if everybody's not going to sleep, one person has to keep everybody up. And, you know, people want to be excited rather than pay attention. And, I'm kind of going off different, but so
but anyway,
the other words that I mentioned, the Unikids is the yellow. So obviously they're gonna obviously not her naked drawings of herself with space rocket dildos or some other examples like that. Well, paintings. You know, it's hard to tell sometimes with the picture. Are sketches with colored pencils or something, but obviously they're having there's a kid. She hopes to influence the youth with some of her songs and music videos and stuff. And her music's more about she says herself, her music's more about its message than it is about about having a really good song. And I guess that's sort of the thing. But there is creepier cult music out there that really is, you know. Have you heard the Yazidi stuff?
No.
Now
I have not.
They're really, let's be, Yazidi is a word for more ancient thing. Basically, Yazidi is they try to form a nexion between the fire beings and the clay beings. So the fireborn, as people would call it, basically they're primordial Satanism that has taken on a Vestan word from 5007. I don't remember what year. I could literally look it up right now, but because I did do a series of programs. So what year is it? 6770 was supposedly the year where the original for the Black Book. So it's the longest running religious calendar, as far as I know. But if you discount any theory of perennial monotheism or something like that, it's the most influential religion in history. It influenced Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Greek philosophy, ancient Egyptian religion. Even if you're just talking the Turkish culture from 12,000 years ago, not even taking it back the full 30,000 years ago that you can historically tie it to, the seven, you know, and Malik Tao's had a more sinister meaning to his name. It used to be a name that meant, in Avestan, his name, the name means stinking bodies. But it's the Moloch in the Bible. The Moloch in the Bible, you don't wear that's why in the Bible you have I'm reminded the peacock. That's the peacock. That's why I'm probably tied in the multicolored little thing going there. But they believe, for example, that humans do not wear blue and humans do not wear purple colors. So the Jews would wear a thread that would cost like 8 times its weight in gold, because they were trying to tell everybody the Turkish, Syrian, Jordanian, Israeli, even Northern Arabian group of Semites, because it had kind of shrunk to that. Well, I mean, there was a sort of pan culture, and the theory anthropops, this different 6 or 7 different creatures, one of them being man, all is one. It's the longest running religious symbol, for example, and that kind of connects to Gnog Manog as the agent for Angramenu. And okay, where in the world was I going with all that? But
I just have to say my time is running up. I have to quit.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. So much for trying to go through everything,
but we can take another discussion another time.
They were trying to. That'd be interesting. Maybe at some point they'll decide that, in 2012 is year 1 or something. That would really fit in with the symbologism. What they're saying is that because all this focus on 2012, that kind of fiddled away. And so if we say, we're in year 9 right now, I think that might go over well. Or year 9 is going to start at the end of this year or something. But
yeah.
So of these main things. Any particular ideas of the main things that we're talking about? The fashion, the focus. Well, I guess that's the violet line. The violet line is the focus on Unicult as something different. I mean, why call it a cult if you're like everybody else? People don't like the word radical, but you do have to be different or something, at least in your combination. The data, the dark blue. So organizing what's going on. And she's talked about, those psychological things that you follow 1 to 10 and trying to track your mood and form a chart and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I have to say, my time is running up. I have to quit.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I was just wondering if Unibusiness, Uniacres is obviously the green one, and we said the yellow. So, and any thoughts on any of these before we just close for the time?
I think they are beyond my awareness. I have no insight into those parts of their cult. I did not know they had such divisions like Unibusiness, Unifashion, and so forth. That was beyond my awareness.
So yeah, evidently they do have some long-term plans, which is our hopes for change, which is important, not just we decided not to have the meeting next week. Okay, it's over with. Okay, well, okay. I'll if any closing thought before we go.
Yeah, I just say that she seems to do something that works. It works for her. I mean, she has created something, and they are occupied with it. So it's a creative. All good to her. I wish her good luck. It's interesting to see her project as someone who is observing it from the outside. That's my closing comment on their project.
That's what a lot of things are for me. It's not necessarily that I have to believe or do everything. It's interesting responding to things and being a witness of some sort. So.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let that go for now.